Saitama vs. Krillin. This debate is almost as old as Saitama itself, as One Punch Man fans would often target Dragon Ball's strongest characters, Dragon Ball fans would often retort, he can't even beat Krillin, how's he gonna beat Goku? I'm assuming anyone watching already has that context in mind, and didn't come here because they've never seen this done before. My intention isn't to trash any particular fandom, nor say either character is bad or weak, just my overall opinion on this matchup fully explained. When it comes to any power scaling discussion, Saitama is a pretty big package to open, and I won't lie, I think most people get it wrong. No, I'm not here to drop some red pill, giant brain, Saitama is omnipotent argument, but breaking him down requires a more delicate approach than just saying he caps a multi-solar system level. Just understand going forward, I will be covering multiple different interpretations of Saitama's strength, so if you don't agree right away, that's okay, just know I'll cover it a little further into the video. If you guys enjoy these Dragon Ball One Punch Man comparisons, let me know. I've been thinking about doing a video on if Monster Garo was in the old school Budokai tournaments or something fun like that. So, if you guys like these Dragon Ball comparisons, let me know in the comments and, maybe drop a subscribe and hit the notification bell so you guys are there when they come out. It really does mean a lot, all the support I get from you guys, so thank you. The most basic way to scale Saitama is based on his feats. However, even then, you'd be starting debates over whether or not he really went full power on Cosmic Garo, which I'll have to talk about later. The main feat displayed in this fight being a serious punch squared that erases countless stars out of the night sky. There's been downplay and wank of this specific feat, with some going as far as to say the blast just blocked the light photons to say that maybe they didn't destroy those stars. Whatever you think of this feat, for the sake of this video we will be running with the highballed interpretation. In the chapter right after this, Garo and Saitama continue their fight and entire fully fleshed out galaxies are visible. Even in the real world, some galaxies are so bright they are visible from Earth even though we can't make out their full form, we are receiving light from those galaxies. We'll run with this and say Saitama and Garo's serious punch did in fact erase countless galaxies in this region of space. He and Garo are then hit by the fully concentrated recoil from that blast and knocked onto the moon of Jupiter, meaning their durability scales to this as well, which is important, seeing as later on Saitama has the strength to defeat Cosmic Garo, meaning by the end of their fight this amount of power would be pretty casual on Saitama's end. I think this is pretty digestible seeing as Garo had acquired knowledge of all things in the universe, possibly including supermassive black holes that bind galaxies together, yet he never tries any of this on Saitama. Now, determining exactly how much Saitama destroyed and what precise value he scales to, I think is honestly pretty irrelevant. The picture where Saitama and Garo destroyed the galaxies is just a small piece of the entire sky. They didn't even destroy all the galaxies on the page, let alone to the sides, up, down, behind. It might be hard to visualize this since manga is only two-dimensional, but this doesn't even represent a fraction of the entire universe. In Dragon Ball Super, Goku fights the God of Destruction Beerus, and you've all heard it before. I break this down in Goku vs Garo as well, but this is stated to be universal by Whis, the angel attendant of a universe-busting God of Destruction, the Elder Kai, a god who observes the entire universe, and the narrator whose only purpose from a story perspective is to tell the audience what is happening. None of these characters have the motivation to lie, and they all have the qualifications to understand what is happening. It's not like it's some random Saiyan chick saying whatever pops into her brain. Not only that, but these universe-threatening shockwaves extend as far as the Kaioshin realm, a separate space that exists beyond the confines of the physical universe. It's then possible Goku and Beerus' punches would have even destroyed the entire afterlife as well, with just one piece of that afterlife being heaven being as called as large as the universe. The afterlife is shown visually and stated to be connected but above the living universe, whereas the Kaioshin realm is entirely removed. So not only were Goku and Beerus shockwaves threatening the entire universe, but threatening spaces beyond the entire universe as well. This is quite a bit more impressive than Saitama, who destroyed a small piece of the night sky with his energy being fully concentrated in that direction, compared to Garo's energy expanding and destroying a space larger than the universe. You're probably wondering why I'm bringing this up since no way Krillin is as strong as Goku, but this is Goku at the very start of Dragon Ball Super, and he quickly surpasses his god form even in base. The reason we can scale Krillin to Goku is because much later the two spar with each other and Krillin can genuinely impress and make Goku excited. He can even swap hands with the suppressed base Gohan, who is comparable to Piccolo, who, with certain techniques, can even threaten the Warrior of Universe Frost, who can fight Goku as well and force him to go Super Saiyan. During the Tournament of Power, Krillin is capable of comboing with Android 18 and fighting opponents that can give her some trouble. 18 fought Super Ribrianne and even Annie Raza, comboing with Android 17 and so on. It's pretty consistent that Krillin can at least scrap with base Goku tier fighters and do pretty good, as crazy as it sounds. This is pretty standard for Dragon Ball for all the side characters to catch up with Goku in the cast, no matter what insane power-ups and training they get. Remember, Roshi used to be the GOAT of OG Dragon Ball, till everyone surpassed him. Then King Piccolo was even stronger than him, until Raditz showed up, bodies Goku and Piccolo at the same time. He seemed strong, but now every single Cyberman is just as strong, and the Z-Fighters slap them. Vegeta, the head honcho of the Saiyan Saga, is fodder to the Ginyu Force. Frieza, the Emperor of the Universe, gets instantly bodied by future Trunks, and he tells everyone about Super Saiyan slaying androids and tells everyone to not even show up if they aren't strong enough, and Krillin still shows up. This goes on forever, and it's more consistent that Krillin would scale to this level from a feats and story perspective. I mean, what's more reasonable? Krillin being below Cell Jr. level and fighting people quadrillions of times stronger than he is? Or Krillin actually just being this strong? Even in OG Dragon Ball, after Goku defeats King Piccolo, he trains with Kami for 3 years, and he still gets destroyed by Raditz. But Krillin trains for less than a year, and he can one-tap an army of Raditz-leveled goblins. Dragon Ball just kinda has always been like this. To this day, people still doubt Universal Dragon Ball characters due to the fact that following arcs see characters fight and clash punches without threatening to destroy the universe. Things such as Vegito Blue and Merge Zamasu punching, barely destroying a city. Not only did Goku learn how to do this already, as the reason the universe wasn't destroyed in Battle of Gods was because Goku figured out how to stop it. But this is an oversimplification of writing to begin with. If every single battle and clash after this had universe-ending shockwaves, it would kinda ruin the story, don't you think? This kind of thing happens in One Punch Man as well, by the way, as Saitama and Garo threatened to destroy the entire planet and annihilated countless galaxies, but their subsequent battle spamming dozens of serious punches doesn't even destroy the small moon they're standing on. At the end of their fight, Saitama basically slams Garo full force back onto the planet, and they barely even leave a small crater behind. Are we gonna say Saitama is crater level? These are concessions authors have to make the story happen. Otherwise, battles in Dragon Ball, One Punch Man, even Naruto or Bleach, and so on, would just be a huge series of explosions. Long-winded explanations aside, I think it's fair to say, at least comparing feats and power scaling, Krillin has a bit more going on compared to Saitama. Saitama can punch out a small region of galaxies, Krillin can fight people that punch away multiple universes. The next major argument is whether or not Saitama has infinite strength. This is stated many times, but I of course have my problems. The bulk of these statements being somewhat hyperbolic, such as Garo saying Saitama has limitless strength. The way the statement is phrased, Garo is impressed by Saitama's limitless power, but if Saitama was limitless and Garo was limited, how is Garo even able to take a single attack from Saitama? The following battle explains to us that Saitama was growing exponentially. It was only at the end of the fight Saitama could straight up defeat Garo. Again, if Saitama had limitless power, but Garo doesn't, how does Garo even keep up? Why did Saitama need to grow stronger? The statement seems to be more about Saitama's power growing limitlessly, as how Garo responds that he will just copy limitlessly. One of the more popular ones is this one from the Young Jump website showing Saitama has a infinite strength as a little stat bubble. This website is a little questionable in its knowledge base, as this was before the bulk of the Monster Association arc had taken place, with many monsters had incorrect or outdated information. We also don't even know who made this website, whether One or Murata even had any involvement or gave their stamp of approval. Even then though, we know One and Murata will drastically change the story as they feel, and they change their minds about the story all the time. Sometimes even changing the story after they already made it. Of course, Dragon Ball has seen dozens of characters with allegedly infinite power, no limits, or even omnipotence. Yet everyone seems to agree these statements are hyperbolic, so why don't we apply the same logic to One Punch Man? Apparently, even King Piccolo has infinite power just like Saitama, so even a Cyberman would beat up Saitama. The last major argument in favor of Saitama is that he has special magic gag powers that mean he could one-punch anyone if he really wants to. As much as I'd hope this argument died along with Cosmic Garo, you'd be surprised by how much people still believe this. The argument is that Saitama is a gag character with the ability to one-punch anyone in fiction because that's the gag. I think the people that honestly believe this don't really understand what they're saying, as numerous people do survive Saitama's punches, even when he wants to defeat them. Boros, Orochi, Rover, Evil Natural Water all survive Saitama's punches, whether he wanted to beat them or not. See, the joke isn't that Saitama can one-punch anyone, the joke is Saitama doesn't want to one-punch people, he tries to hold back to find a strong opponent, but one-punches them anyway, making him disappointed. When Saitama one-tapped Vaccine Man, he didn't actually try to beat him, he was hoping Vaccine Man would be a good fight, but he one-punched him anyway. No matter how hyped up Saitama gets, against opponents that can defeat top-tier heroes, elite martial artists, or monster kings with godly potential, he just one-punches them, making him bored. We then have Boros. Boros ended up being an opponent that could mildly impress and entertain Saitama, and survive numerous punches during their fight. If the joke is Saitama one-punches everybody to be funny, don't you think Boros would have died here? Whoa, Saitama just one-punched the king of the whole galaxy, lol XD? No. Saitama was able to experience a genuinely interesting fight, although it was not his dream. Logically, this kind of defies this gag narrative. Garo was then an opponent Saitama straight up says he can use his full power against, and this is his dream. Despite what some will say, Saitama is saying Garo is the one he's looking for, an opponent he can use his full power on. If Saitama has a limitless gag one-punching power, don't you think it would be pretty funny if after all this hype, Saitama just one-tapped Cosmic Garo on accident and said, "Whoops, I guess I was wrong," instead of a highly convoluted time travel plot? The fact the story has these more serious detours and fights at all just defies the gag one-punch narrative. Saitama isn't strong because he has magic one-punch powers. Saitama one-punches people because he's so much stronger than they are. If you swapped Saitama with Krillin, and Krillin went around City Z one-punching people, is that because he has magic gag power, or is it because he's so unimaginably stronger than everyone else? This would be the same as if you put Goku in the modern day Dragon Ball Super manga all the way back in the 23rd Budokai. I think it's fair to say if you did that, he would one-punch everyone and he'd be super bored. Now, is Saitama a gag character? Sure, one has called him a gag character before, but the term has become exaggerated along the popularization of other gag characters like Popeye, Arale, and Bugs Bunny. Gag character generally just means a character who is meant to be the conduit for a joke, which doesn't automatically make someone god tier. Dwight from The Office could be argued to be a gag character, but that doesn't mean he can jump out of his own show and rewrite his own story. In that sense, what has Saitama done as a gag character to indicate he's some one-above-all reality warping god? Nothing, really. He has shown some basic fourth wall breaking, but it's nothing that even Kid Goku hasn't done in his original series, or even Krillin, who once fought against this guy, and won because he realized he didn't have a nose. Another good example is that just because Goku and Naruto can both blow up planets, that doesn't mean they are equals, nor does that define their limits. In that same sense, just because Saitama and SpongeBob SquarePants are both gag characters, does not mean they are evenly matched, nor does it mean they have the exact same abilities. Saitama would at best be a lower level gag character, like I said, pretty inferior to the more common things in OG Dragon Ball. For Saitama to be some Bugs Bunny level reality warping gag, he needs to show some feats on that level. Realistically, if Krillin and Saitama were to fight, Saitama would be hopelessly outmatched. One could say if the two start fighting that Saitama will get excited and start to grow exponentially like he did with Garo, but that's being generous. Saitama won't be able to grow exponentially if he is instantly defeated. This isn't what if Saitama existed in Dragon Ball Part 27, this is Krillin versus Saitama. They are fighting, not sparring or intentionally holding back. Krillin is more than strong enough to beat Saitama in one punch, But he also has techniques like the Destructo Disk, which can one-shot people even stronger than he is. If Krillin is earnestly trying to win, and not holding back, he will win. In general, I think these character holding back arguments are pretty cringe, and it seems like a pretty roundabout way to say your character wins, usually seen with people like Goku. Like, you're basically admitting that your character would lose if both characters went full power. Until Saitama fights God, Krillin wins. End of story.